Welcome to Not Like This. Not Like This. From professional wrestling, horror films, and everything in between. Strap in. And now your hosts, Dale Zawada and Jim Snedeker Jr.
I love tongue twisters.
Yeah?
As a kid. That was just because I was stupid. I was a stupid kid. Just any game.
Don't do yourself like that.
Some things haven't changed. One thing I could never say no to was, hey, I bet you can't do this normal thing fast. I'm like, well, maybe I can do it pretty fast.
Oh, yeah?
Say that sentence fast? Well, let's see what I can do. Oh, ride this bike down this incline here? Okay. This little,
really fast?
It's pretty deep. I think I will. Don't mind if I do. Everything was a race. Cars, almost got into a couple accidents with that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're racing, Mike? Okay. Is that right? Okay, Mr. Mike. And we both almost died.
Yeah, I remember some of those.
That's okay. So, tongue twisters and car accidents, they go hand in hand.
Welcome to Not Like This, tongue twisters and car accidents.
Jim?
Dale.
Can we talk about Friday the 13th real quick?
Yeah. Okay. I see, you can ask that so you're setting the listener up for what is about to happen. You never have to ask me that.
Good. Because I feel like it's been a while.
I'll give you a caveat. Let's say they finally make another Friday the 13th, and it's so bad that I tell you, hey, don't ever bring up Friday the 13th again, and then you say that, that's different. But other than that, swing away, Meryl.
Swing away. Well, first of all, you mentioned that the Friday the 13th, 2009 is on Netflix. So for those of you with Netflix, that movie, man. I've got such a love-hate with
Netflix watched Russian Doll and not Friday the 13th or anything else.
Or Don't Fuck with Cats.
Oh, God, yeah, that's so creepy.
Don't fuck with those cats. I thought it was somebody told me it was a 4-parter. And it's a 3-parter. So as I'm wrapping up part 3, I'm like, interesting, a little twist here at the end. Can't wait to see where this goes. Credits.
That sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a 3-parter for sure.
I would have been bracing myself differently had I known it was a 3-parter.
I would imagine you had to be on the edge of your seat. That's sort of the reverse of when I was seeing Fellowship of the Ring, and I don't read books. And I'm like, damn, this movie feels like it's been on a while. They haven't even started to go throw this ring in the mountain. And they're like, Aragorn cuts the head off an orc, and they get in a boat. The end. I'm like, whoa. What happened to Mordor and bringing the thing to the stuff? And they're like, yeah, it's 3 books. Are you dumb? I'm like,
2 more movie books?
No, I'm not dumb. I just thought they'd do it all in one movie.
I thought we'd at least see it or something, Oh, thank God there's 2 more.
Yeah.
So, Friday the 13th. Can we talk about old Jason? I want to talk about that interesting Jason Voorhees topic. What do you think of an older Jason Voorhees? Now, obviously, we've got an older Michael Myers these days.
Yes.
In that franchise. And it makes sense, all of that tracks.
Yep.
What do you think of an older Jason?
I think it works. He's sort of weird, like so disfigured and mangled looking that it makes sense. Like if you look at like Jason Goes to Hell, he's got like white gray hair like curling off his head, and you don't really know what he even is. Some sort of creature man. So I don't think age is a problem. Now you're saying you want him to look old?
Oh, I'm not saying I want any of it.
Okay, I didn't mean it like that. Are you saying like?
But yes,
pretend like he's old.
Yes. Does that work? And obviously, it's very difficult with this franchise because even in the first fucking movie, it's like, all right, he was a kid and he drowned, but he's at the end of this movie still a kid, and in the next movie it's the same day and he's 27. Like, it's all fucked.
Yeah, they didn't know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, even if he's still alive in the lake, he's not going to be a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, but it's like just like logic and realism, it's out the window in the very first movie. Whereas Halloween, it's real world, quote unquote.
It is out the window unless that really is some sort of fantastic
dream.
Nightmare. You know, which in that case, that actually makes sense that it is a dream. You know, because he wouldn't be a fully grown man.
Yeah, if you like clinging to that logic and whatnot, I'm sure that's some, I wouldn't say mental gymnastics, but I'm sure that's an angle a lot of people preferred. They're like, I'm definitely looking at that as a dream. That way things make sense.
Right. Yeah, you can't really make them make sense otherwise.
But with Jason...
But an old Jason... I guess it depends how old. Like, can he still get around? What kind of bumps can you take when you're 80 years old?
I mean,
part of me doesn't like it because I just feel like he's some weird mutated human, and I can't imagine the lifespan on someone like that is too long anyway.
This whole proposition is difficult because then they're like, he's also a zombie now. So then they added that wrinkle for us. So it's like, well, how does that age?
Yeah, I think
fuck's sake.
Zombie Jason doesn't age well. He's like a decomposing corpse. Or is he? Not really. He sort of gets recomposed by the lightning strike. And then he's preserved underwater. It's I don't know if you're saying, do we take Jason takes Manhattan Jason and then add 30 years onto that Jason? What are we dealing with? Is that what you mean?
A little bit.
Are you saying we do like a Halloween 2018 where, it's been 50 years since someone saw this Jason creature in the woods and now he's old?
Well, if they were going to do like a modern times thing, he'd obviously, I mean, he just can't be 30 anymore is all. And like right now in my brain, it flashed Hulk Hogan. In his prime, he's a fucking monster, right? He's a giant. He's a monster. He's pythons. And then you got 2019, 2020 Hogan, and he shrunk a little bit. Muscles aren't exactly what they used to. The hips definitely aren't what they used to. Do you think Jason Voorhees could get over with that? Like a little shrinkage,
yes.
Losing a little mass, losing a little speed.
Yeah, because
it's still a beast.
I feel like the guys that were playing him in 3 and 4 were probably in their 40s anyway. You know,
get hotter now.
You know what I mean? Like it's I don't think it's a problem. He's sort of he's not like the Incredible Hulk. It's not like, well, what if Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk now? He doesn't have to be like an imposing physique muscle wise. You know, he could have sort of wrinkled skin, and he already kind of, it was hard to tell how old he was anyway in like 3 and 4 and 3 with the mask off.
3, he was so young. He was fresh baby face.
Was a
fucking freak show.
Nothing fresh about that. It's wrinkly and ugly. Wrinkly and ugly. Like if you, I think that works as like a 60-year-old guy. Maybe just throw some age spot. He already had black thumbnails, like.
But you wouldn't even notice it, really. Like I guess Jason looks smaller. Did they cast a smaller guy for it? Unless you like book like Terry Funk. Like Terry Funk is Jason Voorhees.
That's some interesting fantasy booking there. I don't know what to make of that.
My nighttime thoughts are.
Yeah. What have you been eating before bed? What if Terry Funk was Jason? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, I'm sorry.
And you know what though? I ain't mad at it. But I want Terry Funk to be Terry Funk, and he can't be if he's under that mask. You know what I mean?
Do you think does any sort of shriveled version of Jason work?
No, he can't be like a skeletal, shriveled person. That doesn't work unless he's like tall. If you play up the height angle and he's sort of like like a skeleton monster from Diablo, like just sort of lanky but still imposing because of his overall size, could get away with it. But if he's like 6'2", but skinny and old, like
he couldn't wear the same outfit. It would just droop.
No, he's got to have some meat on his head. You can't have that mask just floating around on a little skeleton head. That would be weird.
Maybe that's how we find out that he's aging. Because in the first fight,
little baby Beetlejuice head,
his mask gets knocked off, and it's like, oh Jesus, he's all old and shit. Look at his neck. He's got that skinny, gross.
What if like
neck.
a bearded Jason?
I'd be on board with that.
Like you could see a little tufts of fur sticking out of the holes, and then he gets his mask knocked off, and he's just got this gray beard, but he's still got this fucked up eye. Gotta have that fucked up eye.
Yeah, the eyes, that sells it.
I think it could. I definitely think it could work, and it could be really cool. And I wouldn't instantly be like, "That's dumb. I won't like this."
I don't know if it needs to be a thing. I haven't read any rumors or anything, and that's not why I'm bringing it up.
Read rumors about what?
I haven't read rumors that this is a thing, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
No, but I mean, are you saying that?
Not like, hey Jim, they're making Friday, and it's going to be old Jason. Like, no, nothing.
But I mean,
like
are
that,
they making
there's never
Friday?
No, there's fucking nothing with this movie because of the disputes. Because they're all fucking idiots.
Can't they all just?
They hate money.
Yeah, because if Marvel and / Disney and Sony can be like, let's work something out with this Spider-Man guy. You can't work out a deal with Jason and some dude that wrote a script a long time ago. Can't be like, here's $200,000. Go away.
Yeah, what is it? What's your number?
Fucking how old is he now? That guy, that writer. I'm gonna look this up right now.
We're gonna be waiting if you think this is gonna be a Vince McMahon situation.
Oh, like.
Or we're just gonna wait till it gets better when he croaks.
And he just never does because he's on TRT and horse steroids.
It's good shit, pal.
I'll never die.
Injected right into my.
So the issue with Friday the 13th is with the original Part 1 co-writer, right? That's the guy. Written by Victor Miller. So this is the guy.
He wrote it.
He's not involved with the sequels. He remains credited. Yeah, this has got to be the guy. He's 79 years old.
It's up there a little bit.
He's written a lot of TV, a lot of soap opera shit. So
he's got the Golden Globes.
Personal life, filmography. I'm surprised there's no what do they call it in Wikipedia? There's usually like a controversy or something like that. But what number? He's a career writer. He's in the guild, right? So he's probably retired, collecting a pension. So what do you want? $250,000?
And look, he's a writer. Sometimes I'm a writer. Like I'm on his side. I'm on his side.
Why aren't you? Why are you only sometimes a writer? I don't like that. We'll get back to that after this. But
he's holding it hostage.
What's the number?
I mean, good for him. Like pay him.
I'm not.
He's got you. Somebody fucked up with the paperwork along the way.
Totally. But
you gotta pay.
You look at Halloween, and you look at Halloween 2018, and you say, okay, we're not Halloween. We don't have Jamie Lee Curtis. We don't have sort of the pedigree of at least one great, like all-time great movie. First one, like a lot of people like it. Horror fans like it. Horror fans like the franchise. We're not Halloween, but we're something, and we could do this with a low budget like Halloween 2018, and we can make millions of dollars, and we could roll this into a 3-movie right off the bat thing or a 2-movie right off the bat thing. What number does this guy need? Give him a percentage. He probably doesn't want one because he's going to die. So I'm just being honest. I'm getting older, and when I see 79, I think I don't want to be that age.
And what shocks me is that they're
give him $300,000. That's not like, what does he want?
And both parties have to see all of these sequels, remakes, reboots, and all the success. And it's like, we'll figure out, this where we're at here, but we also let's also make a deal for the future here and make some more money. Let's get the more video games and apps and merchandising and TV shows, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Like, just do it.
It is a intellectual property in the pop culture realm that has value, and I think will continue to have value. Maybe even that value increases as time goes on. It certainly ebbs and flows with the 80s. Is the 80s sort of nostalgic and cool, or is it cheesy and cool? Like, it'll ebb and flow with that throughout time, but it will continue to be a viable intellectual property franchise. Action figures and video games and things like that, with no movie on the horizon. That game came out and sold pretty well for an independent game. It was kickstarted. I bought it. You bought it. People are still playing
Full
it.
Price.
There hadn't been a movie in almost 10 years since the game came out. I mean, I think I phrased that wrong. But you get my point. That game is built upon the movies that are 25, 30 years old. It has nothing to do with the remake. So you're just leaving money on the table. And what does he want? Like, was he not getting a piece of the pie on the sequels?
The details I don't know.
Because he should have been, right? Did he just now remember that he created the character Jason? I don't understand.
I think they went back. Once again, I don't know the details, but it might have even been something like New Line or whoever forgot about this, and then the rights reverted back to him, and he was like, okay.
That would make sense, like some sort of provision where because they fucked around with it for so long, now he can stake his claim in it. That makes sense. I don't know how the legalities of this shit work. All I know is everybody's leaving money on the table. What do you want, sir? You want some sort of lump sum? You also have to, when you're in a negotiation, okay, like I wrote a song. Let's say someone wants to use my song in a movie. And I'm sort of got a local following, and maybe I tour the country, but I'm not a top 40 artist that everybody knows. They want to use my song, they want to license it, and I'm like, I'm going to need $1 million. That's fucking stupid. They'll just find somebody else or whatever, but you have to be realistic, don't you? Unless this guy's just like, fuck you. Maybe he's just fuck you. This is for all the years I wasn't getting paid for this shit, and I should have been, and now I've got control of this. Fuck you. You got to wait till I die to do shit with this or something, Unless it's that, you can find a number. You can find a number.
They can find a number. Here's a little quote from 10 months ago from Victor Miller. He says, everybody's trying to settle all the little things and dot the I's, get the semicolons where they belong, and all of that. Who gets what? Who has to give what to whom? So to me, it's a nightmare. He said, if you've got two sides across the table, this is poker. And you don't get to say, well, I'll take half the money and you take half the money. That's not how it works. I can't be more specific than that. It has to be done by people who do this for a living. I don't know how that plays. Eventually, I will have to approve something. I'm just sitting here saying, hey, look, I got the copyright for the first one. Let's talk. And these people have been dining out for 30 years. They don't want to part with a cent. I would love to be more involved in the franchise. So who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I can't think of anybody better. I am not dragging my feet. So he's putting the blame on them.
Yeah. So his side of the story is I'm willing to wheel and deal. They're used to getting 100% of everything, and they don't want to meet me anywhere. And if he's telling the truth, then I think if some new people take it over, I don't know if New Line still has the rights. Whomever is going to do this, maybe all it takes is an offer that's sort of not a lowball offer, but
it's fucking crazy,
but realistic, And then it sounds like he'd be willing to negotiate from there. And right now they're just like, no, we want everything. We had everything before. You only wrote the first movie. We don't want to We don't want to make any money. You're sitting here not making any money.
It's insane. Bret Hart made amends with Vince McMahon.
Bret Hart was
to
on
make
Raw,
a little money.
You know, on the 15th anniversary, whatever it was. Like, Bret Hart came back to Toronto, you know, on a Raw. Bret Hart came back and fucking wrestled. Like, not wrestled, but like, worked an angle.
There was a match
with Vince after his brother died under Vince's watch. You know, not saying Vince is responsible or whatever, but that was a point of contention. Like, well, now this has happened when I wasn't there. I don't know if I can ever go back. He went back.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, don't you just want something, you know?
I can't wait to see it out. Maybe they're just waiting him out. They're like, fuck it. We get it when he dies.
You want something.
We'll be around. Human beings die, but corporations live on.
In the I don't want to die. Can I see a good one? Like, I'm worried about me, Dale. I don't give a fuck really about anybody else. But if they wait him out, and then, you know, we got these weird copyright laws. So what is it, like? So many years after his death, then they could do like, I don't know how it works. But
I'm willing to wait. It's like Spider-Man. If I was a big Spider-Man fan and the Raimi movies came out, it's like, all right, those were Spider-Man movies. And then the second batch, it's like, well, that one wasn't as good. I'm still kind of waiting for the actual Spider-Man, but thank you for that experience. And then you get Tom Holland and you actually get Spider-Man, and it's like, this was worth the wait. Thank you for delivering. I'll sit through some bad movies. That's what I thought Freddy versus Jason was, and I was like, this is just a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
we'll
part
be getting
two will
more.
be better.
We'll be getting some good stuff. Don't worry. And nope, radio silence.
That boggles my mind. Maybe it's just the old way of doing things, like the old big studio. Not that New Line's like a big company or something, but just sort of like the old way of having to make movies has sort of it's definitely not like it used to be. And obviously the huge budget movies still make billions of dollars or whatever. But I think you can make a movie cheaper than you could 20 years ago. Like a theatrical quality movie, you know? With digital technology, everything's cheaper. You can't.
Love the digital.
You're gonna leave this money on the table then for Friday the 13th. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to have a $30 million budget.
Nope. Especially that. Go to the woods.
Yeah, come on. I don't know what the big deal is. What I'm saying, Dale, is I'm gonna die of old age, and I don't want that to happen. I never got anything good out of that. You know what I mean? I grew up a fan of comic books. I was there for the beginning of the comic book movie resurgence. I stuck it out. Things were shitty or mediocre or okay at the top end, and then things started to take off, and there were some really good comic book movies. I lived through that. I missed all of the 80s horror movies, like theatrically. You know? And then what I was ready for is, okay, I got Jason X, I get Freddy versus Jason, I get the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, which I've still never even bothered to see, and I'm not going to. I get the Friday the 13th reboot. I get H2O. And out of all of that shit, like, I really was hurt about H2O, because I'm like, oh, they just undid all the lore I like. But that's the best one out of all those 90s and early 2000s horror franchise movies. Sure. You know, Bride of Chucky was kind of cool, like for a Chucky movie.
They're their own fucking thing over there.
But then I thought, okay, we've turned a big corner now, and horror movies are made super cheap and make a ton of money, based like percentage wise of their budget. You know, like what was that fucking the movie where it's like Blair Witch, where it's in the house, Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity.
We had like a $1 million budget, made like a bajillion dollars. Yeah. Like, we turned a corner there, and then we finally get to Halloween 2018. It's actually good. In my opinion, it's the second best Halloween movie. Mm-hmm. Where's my fucking Freddy and my Jason? What are you doing? You hate money? Give me a Netflix series. Something.
Did you say Netflix series?
I did.
What if one of our beloved horror franchises was a series on Netflix?
I would
But not Friday the 13th, not Nightmare. What if it was Halloween?
What if?
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors floating around. There's some signs. There's some tells in the industry when this happens, when that happens. It usually means X, Y, Z. And I don't know. There's a lot of scuttlebutt about a Halloween TV show.
Can you imagine if
Netflix.
you had like 10 hours of Halloween to work with in like a sitting? What you could do? Like how
you can do some good stuff.
Do some really good shit, pal.
From the rumors that I've heard from my sources, it's like a mini series. It's 1 or 2 nights or incident told over like that season.
Gotcha.
And I think that's fine, because that's one of my favorite things is how Halloween, the original, bleeds right into Halloween 2, and I'm like, yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah,
we ain't done.
That is a really cool part, and it sounds like we've talked about this before. It sounds like that's the way they're gonna go with Halloween Kills, which will be cool.
Yeah, so they might have found a good recipe that they like that might work for TV or Netflix.
Normally, like historically, I'd be sort of not happy, but we're not talking about the CW. This is Netflix. We're talking R rating. We're talking, like that level. We're talking movie quality. The story can build over 8-10 episodes.
Yeah, a lot of freedom.
Yeah. So that
that doesn't automatically mean it's going to be great, but
no,
it gives it a damn good chance to do so.
And you can do like a deep dive for an episode on something and then pull back if you want, like Daredevil style, where it's like, well, in this one he's training with stick. You're like, yeah, it wasn't my favorite episode, but there's like 10 of them, 11 of them. And that first couple seasons, Daredevil was really good. The first season was great. So, I would totally be on board. That wouldn't make me upset or disappointed or anything.
No, I'd be very excited about that. There's not enough horror on TV, really. True crime stuff, of course, but like pure horror, especially slasher, like that's always like a whodunit anyway. This one, no, I know who's doing it.
And I feel like a lot of it has a comedy lens that it's through, like when they do something like that. Like what's the one? The sequel just came out at the theater. She keeps waking up, trying to figure out who's killing her, and she keeps dying over and over.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah, like the newer horror movies are either we're gonna do those weird I don't know what those kind of edits are called, where there's just a bunch of frames missing and someone's coming at the camera and there's like a flickering light, or it's going to be something sort of funny. But like your traditional hack and slash, the killer's somewhere in the house. Where's Scream? Like where's the Scream of now? Because that was like a breath of fresh air.
I think that's Happy Death Day.
Yeah, Okay. But Scream wasn't really... There were funny parts, but it wasn't really that funny.
Yeah, it was, a horror movie at the same time.
And Scream was sort of scary because it was grounded in reality. It's like, yeah, all this other shit's just movies.
Yeah. And do you think that's one of the reasons Halloween 2018 was so good? Because if somebody said, yeah, I watched it, it was I don't know anything about that, it was like a true crime thriller. It's like, yeah, that was kind of true crime-ish. Like, it's about the serial killer, he escapes, kills some people. I'm like, yeah.
What if he came to your town? Like, what if that killer got loose and came back? How scary would that be for everyone? Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, that's good shit with Friday the 13th. It's like, oh, yeah, and I remember the rumors. Everyone laughed it off. Turns out there was some fucking weirdo out there. Didn't kill as many people as the legends say, but killed a lot of fucking kids.
Yeah, you could go so many places with it. It's sort of like just sit down and write something and see what happens. Like, and it's hard. I know it's hard to make something really good with that sort of plot. Like, it's sort of weird. It's sort of an odd thriller plot. You know, we're just, there's a bunch of campers and they're isolated. You know, there's going to be a scene where there's no power. They're in the woods. The woods are scary. He's going to be whacking them one by one. I almost said whacking them off. That's not what he'd be doing.
Just gonna whack them off, see?
Right. But, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be good. Like, decent, like watchable. But something like Superman, too. Like, how are you struggling to just write something decent with this property? Why does it seem so hard, Dale? That's what I don't understand. You already have a framework to work with. Yeah. We're not talking about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah. Start with what works. Maybe start taking some turns and twists. Put your own little slant on it. Update with the times, whatever you think you've got to do. But you know what works. Just stay in that lane. And just kind of dip into those other lanes. Like a bad driver.
I almost think more importantly, you know what doesn't work, right? Like, you can watch Halloween, or you can watch Friday the 13th, 2009, and you could like, yeah, let's not just make fun of it without it, like it. Let's not just fucking clown on the whole premise and make it sort of shitty. Like, oh, that's what people expect, it just to be shitty. How about just look at what you think is missing from those movies. What's usually missing? Character development of the lead character. We're usually just, these people they just show up in this camp and we don't know shit about them. They tried to do a little bit of that, like a little bit of sort of backstory and callback stuff in the 2009. How do I say that? 2009, 2009. I don't fucking know. They tried some of that, right? With his sister, and then he coming back for his sister. It didn't work because they just made fun of the rest of the premise with how they did everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and they went for the cheesy scares and
now, goddamn, everything. See what they did, instead of writing characters, they just wrote like tropes. It's like they were literally the jock.
Yep.
The nerd, the stone, like all of the things.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, you're gonna put your twist. You're doing you just did it. You just did that. Your tits are stupendous, awesome, great job, movie.
Right, you screwed it up, man. You put a big magnifying glass on the shit that people think is dumb about those movies, but without making it a straight up parody. You just put a microscope on top of the shit and then tried to wedge in some sort of story, which, just you can make it serious and have Jason there killing people. It's possible. You know how I know it's possible? Because I've seen Halloween 2018, and you would think there's no way they can make this type of story enjoyable and have any good payoffs, and there's no scares left to do that they haven't done, and they did it. They made it really good. It's possible. It can be done now. Now go do work. All
you have to do is just treat the franchise, treat what you're working with respect, treat the audience with respect, and you're good.
I forget the number. I'm not a runner, but I've heard it talked about by runners and doctors and whatnot, fitness experts, that I guess I want to say it was 4 minutes or something like that. Used to be, people used to think you can't run under a 4 minute mile, and then somebody did it, and then a bunch of people started doing it because they're like, oh, it's possible, it can be done, and it broke down like a mental barrier for a bunch of runners.
Interesting.
That's Halloween 2018. How do you take a really good movie that had a bunch of sequels, most of them were shitty, it's been so long, and you're just gonna redo it again? Come on, that can't be good. Oh, it is. Okay, now get to work.
Yeah, so I mean, big props to Halloween 2018 for showing other franchises that it can be possible, just like The Grudge, which came out in theaters this weekend.
Now, how many
They,
grudges in are we? Is this like the fifth grudge?
I think it's a reboot.
Right, but I mean, like, so we had the
Oh,
grudge and the grudgerer and
5?
the grudge. Yeah, right. Okay.
I literally think 5, maybe 4. Um, but The Grudge learned some lessons from Halloween 2018. They took that notebook and threw it right out the fucking window. Some really bad reviews for this Grudge reboot
Oh
out in
shit!
theaters.
I didn't
Just
see that
abysmal.
coming. That's not what I thought. That's not where I thought you were going.
I know. The little bait and switch. But yeah, so that movie supposedly sucks. And it's like, which brings us to our point. They just showed you the blueprint. At the very, you know what works? The Grudge. So at the very least, you're remaking that. But you
Right.
shouldn't. You're going to try to do something new.
Right.
We know what works with new. Did you do that? No, you didn't. You did something else. It was risky. Did it work? No. It's like a flow chart with these fucks.
Yeah.
And they always find the box office bottom every time. It's sad.
What is it with the
Sad.
grudge that doesn't work? Do you think?
I think we caught lightning in a bottle with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Because it's,
And
you know, it wasn't
probably the
it wasn't.
imagery. That imagery was sort of new for people to be exposed to.
Yeah, it was Scary Long-Haired Girl. That's a Scary Long-Haired movie which comes out of the TV. Okay, it's that one. 7 days, got it. And then that's it. It's like, how are you going to milk that for more than one movie? Spoilers, you can't.
Now, is 7
And
days
then
the
they were-
grudge, or is that the ring?
They're all the same, aren't they?
That was, yeah. So maybe the ring was like right before the grudge, right? But it was close.
I now no longer know the difference.
But the first
those
ring
movies.
I thought was scary. I thought that was halfway decent. I saw it twice at the theater. I did not like how it made me feel. It made me creeped out when they cut to that finding that girl's shriveled up face in the closet, and I don't know that's coming.
Oh, they hit you with one, huh?
Yeah, you don't remember the first ring?
I don't. I might not have seen it.
Well, it's not bad.
It's one of those movies where it's such a big thing that you feel like you've seen it.
Yeah, I want to say it was like Naomi Watts. You know, it wasn't just some
Shit.
bottom barrel shit. You know, there were the guy who plays Stryker, the guy who's in the Bourne movies. He's like the older guy, sort of the chunky older guy. Yeah,
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox. That's the guy, Cox. He's in it, I think. Now I don't know. Every time I do this now, I have doubts. I'm pretty sure he's in it. And
Sid Haig all over again.
but it's sort of creepy, scary shit that you haven't seen, and it came from what, a Japanese movie or a Korean movie or something.
Yeah.
Ringu.
So I don't think with either one
The
it
Grudge
really
was like that too, right?
infringed.
That had been out in Japan, a different version of it, an Asian
And
movie.
it was such a killer premise and concept that the first one was always going to work. Grudge one was going to work in America. Ring was going to work here. And everything after that, you're on borrowed time.
Yeah, you can't do it again because with a premise like that, there's some sort of curse, there's some sort of wrongdoing that gets figured out, that gets resolved, and sort of breaks the curse or whatever, and then they'll do a little cliffhanger thing at the end to make you think there's going to be another one. But to me, those don't work again because at least with The Ring, I don't remember a ton about The Grudge, but I know I saw it at the theater. But with The Ring, it was like, what is this? This tape kills you in 7 days. Why? You know, and she sort of figures it out as she goes along. But how do you make another one? Now it's been figured out. You know, now you know the curse of the black-haired lady thing. So it's happening again. That's such a weak premise. It's happening again.
Yeah, you kind of want to build upon it, add to the lore. Halloween did it, or tried to, with the Thorn cult, with the Man in Black, which brings me, if we can segue to Halloween 6 and Quentin Tarantino. This is news that you're familiar with?
If we're going where I think we're going, yes.
Well, I'm not going too far. Halloween 6 was a movie we all saw it. Um, this is the one with Paul Rudd? Is that where we're at?
That is Halloween 6. This is the
Okay.
one you know the writer or the director?
Yes, Daniel Farrens and Daniel. Hey, Danny almost didn't get the gig. They're trying to get some other folks. All right, what are we gonna do with our franchise here? We just had 4 and 5, so we were dealing with the niece. What are we gonna do?
Now
Who are we gonna bring in?
the story I've heard is that he pitched them something in a meeting, like as a writer, not as a director, because he was just writing stuff at this point. Quentin?
Who? Quentin?
Yeah.
From what I read, they hit him up. They were like, "Hey, are you interested in writing and probably directing Halloween 6?" And so it was a discussion. It doesn't sound like it lasted terribly long, but of course there was some interest. And Quentin, his main interest in the whole goddamn thing was the mysterious Man in Black angle. He said, "Okay, 4 and 5, you're not perfect movies, we'll say, but you have my attention. We have some potential here with these story concepts. We got Thorn, we got this mysterious Man in Black," and Quentin really liked that, and he was going to do some stuff with that. Now, he didn't really go into much detail about it, but could you fucking imagine a Quentin Tarantino Halloween movie? Wow.
I really can't. I really can't, especially one that continues off from the Man in Black. Because I think if anyone just heard in general, like, oh, there was interest in Quentin Tarantino to make a Halloween, I think people would assume that he'd be the guy that's like, okay, but the first one's the only good one. I want to go back to that. And that wasn't the case.
He's picking up.
He was going to pick right up from 5. But the meeting or whatever they had with him, it was a long time before 6 actually went into production. It was like, 90, 89, 90, like right after 5 came out. So he was not a big name in the industry yet. I'm pretty sure this is pre-Reservoir Dogs that they were talking to him. Because that's was what, 93 or something? 92, 93? So this
in 94. In 94, Miramax offered Tarantino the chance to write Halloween 6,
really?
an opportunity 94? He declined.
That's odd. Yeah. That's interesting then, that he's successful and he's doing shit. He's probably like balls deep into writing Pulp Fiction at this point. And they're like, "Hey, you want to do Halloween 6?" And he, from what I read, he had like a broad stroke idea, and they sort of talked about it. There's not like some Quentin Tarantino draft of Halloween 6 floating around.
Never,
he was just like, "Yeah, okay, we should probably do this, 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 and this." It was like a big points, broad strokes.
And I like his broad strokes. We would have followed the Man in Black and shit. That would have been wacky as hell.
I'm sure everything he's thought of to do with that is out there on the internet, because he's not the type of guy that would be like sort of embarrassed by being offered this, or like ashamed that he was talking to them in a meeting about it. And he seems like a guy who likes to talk about shit a lot. So
and
I'm
honestly,
guessing everything he knows we know,
And honestly, as a writer, as an always time writer, Jim,
there we go.
You put you in that mind space, because I've been there, not here, where it's like, "Hey, this is what we're working with. Can you do something with that?" I've been there. I've done it. And he said, "Okay, who are you? You're the Halloween people. We just did 4 and 5. Let's run those tapes."
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can pick up from that. I can use this, and that. Might cut some of this, but he saw some potential, and that's the shit that interests me, because that's like that says a lot. And We got some. We obviously just talked about some movies that followed this that weren't great, and well, what could have been. You know, everybody was pitching him everything though. It's just like, you want to make Santa Claus 5? Tim Allen wants to work with you.
You know, it's sort of interesting. It's like you think of what could have been, because he was seriously considering it, and he wasn't going to just throw everything away and Rob Zombie the whole thing and remake it.
Oh, Jesus, don't mention that name.
And it sort of reminds me in music when you have something like Johnny Cash is sort of, I don't know if he got dropped from his label. He was not, nobody wanted anything to do with him. And then you pair him up with Rick Rubin, where you're thinking like, okay, this guy's done a bunch of hip hop and metal and like alternative rock. Let's pair him up with Johnny Cash and see what happens. And it's revitalized his career in the 90s. And then he had that his last album in the 2000s. And that sort of didn't seem to make sense on paper, but you put a great person there and you can get magic sometimes. And this, I don't know, I always feel like, man, it would have definitely been interesting to watch, to see what kind of movie that is, you know?
The franchise would have obviously taken a different direction. Careers, Hollywood would have been different.
Yeah, I mean, what if it meant him not doing Pulp
horror
Fiction?
director? Exactly, horror director Quentin Tarantino. That's what he did now. Like he liked it. He was like, that was fun. Instead of falling in love with westerns so much, he went the horror route instead. And he's like, oh, this is what we're doing. Like that'd be fun for me.
I think he would have got back to he would have got to westerns, because that seems like a childhood. It seems like that love goes back far, you know. But
yeah, that's what he does, is vampire western.
But so did it go Pulp Fiction? It was like Pulp Fiction, and then he was in From Dusk Till Dawn. But did he write that at all?
I think he was a writer or something, helped a little bit.
And
Pulp Fiction,
then Jackie Brown, right?
Yeah.
So,
wow, Pulp Fiction was 94. Yeah, I didn't think that was correct.
So then we're looking at maybe the stars don't align for Pulp Fiction. You know, maybe people's careers go even deeper off the deep end, or they come back. But he still
uses, but he was like casting Pulp Fiction in his mind, so we get a lot of these actors in his Halloween 6.
No.
See, yeah.
I don't think that's cool to think that. Like, that's cool to imagine for sure. But when you look at like people's agents and shit, they're like, hey, Bruce Willis, this indie film, this guy did Reservoir Dogs. It was a big indie hit. All the critics love it and some want to suck it off. He's doing another movie. It'll be one of those you don't get paid a lot, but it's going to win a bunch of awards. We got you that one. John Travolta. Hey, maybe your career is kind of in the shitter, but wouldn't it be cool if you did this sort of like cool hip indie movie it's going to win a bunch of awards, but you can't. I don't care who makes Halloween 6. When you call it Halloween 6, it ain't winning shit. You could have Martin Scorsese direct that motherfucker. It don't matter. It ain't going to any shows. No film. You're not going to see any leaves on the box with the selection. Blah blah blah. None of that's happening.
They probably wouldn't have called it. They would call it Halloween something else.
What's Halloween in French? They'd have called it that.
Oh, nice. But which one plays the Man in Black? Bruce?
Gotta be Michael Madsen, right?
Oh my God. Yes, they do.
Bruce Willis is like a protege of Dr. Loomis. He's the straight doctor character who doesn't have to get too intense. Gotta look at the like emotional ceiling and sort of figure out who he could be. He wouldn't be the Man in Black. There's too much evil there. So yeah, you'd have Michael Madsen, or Donald Pleasance was still alive because he ended up making 6. It's his last movie. Would he have been in it? I would think Quentin Tarantino would want him to be in it, you know?
He would have utilized him in some fashion.
I remember reading that in Fangoria magazine for Halloween 6, that like, oh, this thing took so long to come out. At one point, Quentin Tarantino was tied to it, and I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Because at the point where I was reading that Fangoria, it was like a couple months before the movie came out in 95. So Pulp Fiction had already been out and been, picked up all kinds of steam and everyone loved it. I'm like, that guy was going to make this movie? Get the fuck out of here. And that was all I knew about it for a long time, There was just like a throwaway sentence in a Fangoria article.
Such a ballsy move to even ask. It's
Yeah.
like if Troma was like, "Hey Spielberg, you want to make one of our movies?" It's like, no.
Well, it was like
Gross.
Kevin Smith tells a story about asking Johnny Depp to be in Tusk. And he was like, oh, my kid goes to school with his kid, and he just texted him.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay, that'd be interesting. And he's
Shoot
like,
your shot.
It's like, holy shit. So, good on Dimension, Miramax, Dimension, whatever.
I feel like they're like the last indie. Because they do some weird, risky shit. And
yeah.
That's it. Everyone else plays it safe. So this is all I have for entertainment now.
Yeah, he was doing some risky shit. Oh, Harvey.
Oh. Let's not get into it.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
Let's not get into it.
Now, I didn't look into this at all, but I should mention it. We're talking about, this has been a movie-packed episode. We're talking all movies, basically. We're talking sequels and stuff. Top Gun Maverick is coming out. Now, did Ridley have anything to do with this?
I'm unsure. I think so.
Because
we're gonna have to do it.
I always wondered about that, because I think they were talking about this before. Who is it? It's Tony Scott.
Yes.
Before he died, this was already being sort of talked about, that let's do another Top Gun. And that was his movie. And I always thought it was interesting that they both were famous directors, never really made movies that were alike, but it's just odd to me. Like, what are the odds that you both end up being directors? It's like sort of like if two brothers are both NFL players, like, oh, you both worked really hard and both got the good genes and you're both in the NFL. Like, what are the odds? It's so hard to get to the NFL. Both of your kids are in the, like.
That's such a pretty way of looking at it.
Would it be weird to not be involved at all in something that your brother made the first one of and now he's gone?
That's probably pretty cool. Like, I would appreciate that if I was in that situation. I'm like, he's gone. We were going to do this movie. Now I'm at the helm. I'm going to make the best damn movie I can for him, for everybody. Like, that'd be beautiful. And hopefully that's the case, but I don't think Ridley's involved in any of this. I don't even see any Scots as producers. Joseph Kosinski directing, written by a couple folks, and yeah, Top Gun.
You think how would they put an homage to him in there somewhere somehow? How could you do it?
Sure, they'll be walking down the hallway, he's getting yelled at because they're like, Maverick, you did it again, you son of a bitch.
You're
that
old,
costs
but you're
money.
still too damn good.
You're still too damn good. Short though. And as they're walking, like one of the offices, it says Scott,
Mm-hmm.
Officer Scott. It's like, okay, I guess probably an homage to the guy. But yeah, so this movie's coming out soon. I was hoping it came out sooner than it actually is, because it's going to be in June, and I don't have any movies to see.
You
And
got
I'd love
Bad
to go see
Boys.
Tom Cruise. Is that out?
Next
Or is it coming
next
out?
week, I think.
Okay, I will see. I will see that.
Now, I don't know anyone of our generation that sort of hasn't seen Bad Boys.
That'd be hard to do.
My wife hasn't seen Bad Boys. I looked at her like she was a clone of my wife, and I found out suddenly. We're sitting in the did I talk about this on the last show? We're sitting.
No, not on the show, but you went full blast when we were playing video games.
Well, we're sitting there. We're about to watch Star Wars, and the trailer comes on. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and I'm like, I know what this is. Like, yes, okay. And my wife looks interested, but she's like, what is this? And I'm like, are you fucking serious? What is this? Like, what else could it be? You know, and then they say, like, they're playing Bad Boys for Life in the I'm like, oh, she knows now. And then at the end, when it shows you the title of the movie, she's like, oh, yeah, I don't think I've seen a single Bad Boys. And I just looked at her like, who are you? I don't know anyone that hasn't seen at least the first Bad Boys.
That's like not seeing a Rush Hour. It's almost like not seeing a Lethal Weapon.
This is what also doesn't make sense. I'll put it in to give you some context, okay? She's a couple years older than us, right? That movie came out when we were in 5th grade. She was in 7th grade. Grew up in the same neighborhood, Dalton. You know?
Dalton?
She once hung up with me. Like, hey, she's like, I got to call you back, because she watched Fresh Prince religiously, and there was an episode where Boys to Men was on Fresh Prince,
And she was like,
and
later,
she's like,
nerd.
yeah, I gotta call you back. And so huge Fresh Prince fan in 1995, and you didn't see fucking Bad Boys? And now I gotta make her watch it, and I can't find it. I'm sure I can rent it for like $4 or something. I don't want to do that. I want to find it for free somewhere.
Go for it. Get it for free. I've been going to like the local, like thrifty shops and your disc replays, and I'm like, what you got?
Replay.
What you got for me? I finally have Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2
There you go.
in my possession, because that felt like a sin not having them in my confines.
Sin. It'd be like if she told me she'd never seen Friday. Hold on. Babe!
Oh no, there's no way in hell.
Hey, babe!
There's no way.
Chris! Have you seen Friday? Yeah, she's seen Friday.
Now she doesn't think you're saying Friday the 13th, because that's all we talk about.
No. So I don't get it. And it's also one of those movies where if you had cable, if you had HBO, Showtime or something in the 90s, after it made that release to cable movie channels, it was on every fucking hour on the hour.
She was studying.
I didn't see it at the theater. You know, it was rated R. I was 11 or something when it came out. But I remember the summer it came out, because you had Shy Guy, that single from the movie. It had clips from the movie, but it also had them in the music video, which I always loved, music videos that did that. Like new
Those
footage
crossovers.
of them in the video, like dancing to the song and shit. And I remember thinking, like, God damn, I wish I could see that movie. Then it comes out on cable. I must have watched it 20 times. Taya Leone?
Of course, yes.
Good golly. What about the
guys
pickle?
of
Can I eat the
certain
pickle?
age.
Well, it's got a lot of salt, but can I eat the pickle? Okay, and he dips it in the pop to wash the salt off. How the fuck?
Is it
I
for
don't even
women?
know you.
What does she have to watch besides the fact that she loves Fresh
I'm sorry.
Prince?
What did she have to watch? But Will Smith in 1995.
Will Smith, 95.
He's the star of the movie, co-starring with Martin Lawrence, who's hilarious. They're both fucking hilarious.
The female lead is pretty strong. She definitely gets her shit in.
Yeah, it's a slam bang action movie. Maybe that's why. But it's funny. It's a funny Mike Lowry. No, that's Mike Lowry's house. How have you not, in all these years, it's like it all flashed instantly in my memory. Like all the Mike Lowrys, all these references. So sad. You're on your own, JoJo. All these references I thought she was getting.
And you've just been saying nonsense to her.
Yeah, nonsense.
Oh, no.
Nonsense to her.
Shit.
I don't get it. And you know what? I feel so... I don't know why. This is silly. I don't know Martin Lawrence, but I'm so happy that he's in a movie that's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, he needs a dub. He needs a W.
Because I don't feel like he did anything wrong. He's Martin Lawrence. What was that one where he goes back in time?
Black Knight.
Right. When did that come out?
I don't know. I've never seen that.
2001. I saw it at the show. Because Chris wanted to see it. You're telling me you like Martin Lawrence. She watched Martin. She watched Fresh Prince. And you don't see the crossover Avengers of Fresh Prince and Martin?
The fucking team up.
What the fuck?
The mega powers. What the fuck?
Come on. And then it's like, well, it'll be on cable.
Can we stream record that one? Like, can that be a watch along? We fucking watch Bad Boys with Chris for the first time.
No, she wouldn't. She ain't coming on here.
It's crazy though.
Yeah, too much
at least make her watch it. She's got to watch it.
Oh, I'll make her watch it.
Okay, good.
That's my Lowry's house.
There's an NBA player named Kyle Lowry, and every time I'm like, that's Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry.
And he sucks. It's great.
Oh, God. Well, thank you for joining us, and listening to more Halloween and Friday the 13th, all kinds of movie sequel, horror movie talk. Got a little bit out of the horror genre there at the end, but it was all about movies and movie sequels, and that just organically happens. And
we didn't
I like
talk about wrestling.
Didn't barely. We managed to squeeze in a Bret Hart reference in relation,
Never mind.
in relation to
We totally
someone
did.
coming back or whatever. So, let's plug it up. If you want to come see Dad Bod, we are playing at Hailstorm Brewery in Tinley Park, Illinois on Friday, January 17th. Come out to Hailstorm Brewery in Tinley Park. See Dad Bod, 6:30 to 9:30, like always there. Last time it was such a fun show. Packed the house with a birthday party. Come see us.
This is true.
Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/dadbodlive. You can follow me on Instagram at JamesJRMusic.
And if you want to support us, we got the Patreon, which is Jim line.
Patreon.com/not like this.
That sounds like that's right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Like there's no reason that shouldn't be it.
There's no reason. And it is it. So
hook yourself up. For me, follow me on Instagram at Dale Zawada. Otherwise, that's going to do it for episode 105. Thanks for listening. I'm the Man in Black.
I'm Victor Miller. Go fuck yourself, Friday the 13th.